Good morning and welcome to my beautiful family of light. And that means all of you, those who have been watching my videos and those who are new here. It's how I refer to you. We are souls having this marvelous journey upon the earth at this time. And it is my intention to help you make that a profoundly wonderful experience and to help to shift us out of anything that may be a challenge that we are or something we're struggling with right now. And so that's what I'm all about. This is part 2 of Your Soul Matters, but part 1 of Your Soul Matters is another step closer to your soul self. So you can watch earlier videos of mine to follow along what I'm talking about when I talk about your soul self, because we are children of our Creator. And as such, we have access to a profound mechanism, I'll call it, of inspired thinking, creative inspirations and ways of being that are anything but related or connected to who we may be expressing ourselves in this way that we are now. What I want you to know as we start part 2 of this another step closer, there will be 3 parts, maybe 4, but in this particular segment, what I want you to understand is that this is a cause and effect planet. We are beings that are immersed in whatever the causation is. There is an equal and opposite, and this is physics, reaction. So if you're having things that are not going your way, that are not going as you would imagine or think that they should or ought to, and believe me, I've had plenty of those in my life, then it's time for us to examine what we are causing, how we can shift that cause to create a better, more in line with what we want effect that we want to have. So, and one of the most important ways to do that is for us to line up with the aspect that we are a soul, having this experience. And if you've not been following your intuition, if you've not been following something known as a higher guidance, if you aren't meditating or walking in nature, there's many ways of accessing the soul part of us that is also trying to help us move forward to a profoundly wonderful life and experience. So, cause and effect. In the first video, we talked about what do you want, and I asked you to write down or make a list for yourself of things that you want. It's important to prioritize those and figure out what the top 1, 2, or up to 3. You can write down as many as you want, but prioritize them, because if we can focus on 1 or 2 or 3 of those, if you can focus on those, it will be much easier for you to be able to recognize the effect when you change the cause. So writing down the things that you want and the interference to that. What are the disruptors? What are the thoughts that you're having? What are the things that you're doing? And how are the ways that you are behaving? And so what we come up with is a list of thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and beliefs that are perhaps really not no longer serving a useful purpose for us. If you're not having fun, if you're not enjoying the experience fully, if you are struggling through some things, then this is a good place to be. We're going to begin the process of experiencing and looking at those and what we can do to change them. So from this point, as you were looking at your beliefs, what were you thinking and what did you write down? Where did the beliefs come from? Are these things that you've been, that were just embedded in you by your family? Whatever the teacher said to you and you believed it, or somebody said something to you that you thought sounded okay because you didn't have the knowledge or at that time wisdom. You've gained some wisdom in your life now, and we'll access that too. So there's beliefs, but who did they come from? Where did that thought come from? If you have had believed that you need to be angry with somebody, or that you resent someone, or that you feel like you've been betrayed, then those are things that you want to be writing down on your list of things that are interfering with or disruptors too. So let's take a betrayal, for instance. If you feel like you've been betrayed by someone, then you are most likely initially became angry and then resentful, and you may not even want to talk with them. If there's somebody who's in the family and you have gatherings, you may even avoid that individual because you don't feel like you can have conversations because you don't know what to trust. So trust comes into play. So when we want to change a pattern, habit, or belief, there's other things, then what do we do, to do that? And so in order for you to know, you need to take a look at what the belief is. Do you believe that when I say you're a soul having a human experience, do you kind of initially feel like, oh, there's an intriguing thought? Or do you feel like, ooh, she's way off the mark? So, with a more open mind, then you may be thinking, well, that's an interesting concept. Maybe I want to know more about that. And you may be also thinking, well, that's not what I was taught. And I will tell you that I was raised a strict Catholic. And it wasn't until I became a little older, 17, 18, that I realized that I was having a different way of thinking about life, living, religion, and some of the teachings were not satisfactory to me. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like there's a loving God, and this is my personal belief. I'm just sharing with you how I turned some things around here, and that I was a good person. And so even though we fail at some things, or we get angry or frustrated, or whatever, but when you get to a point where you are resentful or want revenge, then you've moved into another territory. And so how do you move yourself out of that? So in order to focus on that, take a look at your top 1 or 2 items. Take one at a time and jot down, how did you come to that belief? Is that something that you were taught by someone? Is it, and when you do these things and jot these down, get a sense of when you're writing, how does it feel? You were taught that, but does it feel right? Does it feel in keeping with who you are? If you're looking to make some changes, but you're having resistance to it, it may be because we are taught things that just have become repetition for us. We haven't thought any other way of thinking. Our beliefs are, kind of fixed in place. So it was when I was earlier in my teenage years that I began to question my religious beliefs. And believe me, there are aspects of the Catholic religion and all religions. I've since studied most of the major religions of the world, and all religions have beautiful aspects to them, but the focus has to be on God as a loving God in order for you to be able to line up with your soul self, because the soul means no harm. There is absolutely nothing in there that requires you to be resentful, angry, upset, seek revenge, or anything else. Those are not in keeping with the soul's methodology. So write those things down, and then notice when you were making your list of the things that you want, is there something that you were doing that was impulsive, that you felt was a wrongdoing, and how did you correct it, or have you been able to correct it? If you haven't, let's take a look at that. For me, because it can lead, if you don't correct it, it can lead to guilt. It can lead to shame. I mean, there may be all kinds of reasons that you're where you're at with your behaviors and just don't know. So you've created a list of the things that you want, the behaviors, the impulses, the patterns and habits that have got you, that you're living and experience, and what are the thoughts that created that. So we want to do a little process that has us create positive changes. And so positive changes mean that your words matter. If you have an impulse, right, and you have a tendency to be an impulsive person, I can be that way. I've learned to monitor the places that shows up in my life and to temper that a little bit. So I'm going to write down impulsive, and perhaps you want to also. So there's a need to resist this if you want to make change, because remember, this is a cause and effect planet. This is the earth that we're living in. It's the physics of who we are, that the energy that's put out is the energy that's coming back. You can call the energy that's put out the cause, and what's coming back to you is going to be a similar energy. So if you want to change, you have to stop the behavior, the pattern, or the habit. Become aware of it. Becoming aware of your impulsiveness is the first step to changing it. First step. So when you go to the grocery store and you're inclined to an impulse, make sure, first of all, that you take a list of things that you need and want, and a budget prior to that is also a very good thing. If you just are spending every dime that you get, you'll never get what you want or get to where you want to be. So you've come this far, and so in order to shift the pattern that you want to, you need to become consciously aware. So write down the words that you can come up with regarding the habits of overspending. So make it a habit to modify that, to tone it down considerably, cut it in half, or begin cutting out something. If you are inclined to buy chocolate every time you go, but chocolate brings you great happiness, then buy some chocolate, but don't buy out the whole store. And when you eat it mindfully. Realize that what you're doing is having a treat. It's not, this chocolate isn't going to sustain your body, and your physical body is an important aspect of your body is the house of the soul. So turn your body into, by tempering your desires and longings. You're fighting against yourself, really, in order to create better habits. So what I want you to learn to do, and you can jot this down, is repeat after me. This is a cause and effect place that I live in. I am where I am because what I put out energetically is what I'm receiving back. It's in kind. If you want to be in a better place, then whatever it is you're doing has to change, and you've got to come up with the don't do this anymore. And I don't like to use, I prefer to use the words. Just list the words that you no longer wish to use, and create a column with a word that is a positive alternate to that. So I want to be, if I'm resentful, then to diminish the resent. Then about someone, then just start with saying, I forgive myself and I forgive that person. You can say I release resentment and I become a kind person. You can say things that just seem counterintuitive to you and are absolutely against the grain. However, by doing that, you're going to create a different effect. You're changing the cause of what's coming at you, and you're going to get more of what's coming at you the more you do it. So create more loving, kind, compassionate, caring, considerate causes, and you'll create new effects coming back to you. And you can see this in different ways when you go shopping in the grocery store, when you're at work, when you are, regardless of what you're doing, when you're driving on the street, and you have more patience and more understanding and more caring for all of the beings. There's not one being on this planet that is not a being of light and God's creation. So we're all connected in many ways. So, what by doing that, creating a list, a separate list, we will go into the next time then from that list, what you're discovering from all of these exercises, what you're discovering about yourself, what you're changing regarding your patterns, habits, and beliefs, and what did you feel as far as when you write down a new word that seems absolutely contradictory to how you want to feel, or how the habit surrounding how you've been feeling and expressing those feelings. So continue this throughout the next few days and really over the next several weeks. I would set aside a whole month if it was me. Now that I know, in the beginning, a couple of days was like, well, I can spend 15 minutes on this. But remember, we're changing, we're altering ourselves and creating new patterns and habits in a way that you are doing for yourself. And as you do these exercises, you will become an expert at catching yourself that what you're causing is not what you want coming back at you. It is, the effect is still, not supporting the who you want to be and the expansive being that you want to be. So the next time we're going to cover the process and getting you in that better direction, releasing the resistance to, we'll release the resistance to the processes that you're doing, because you're going to find as you do this that there are words you don't want to say about someone. It's very interesting to me. Most people have said, why aren't you angry with, that person? And I just look at them and say, because I know that there's a light within every single being, and for some of us, it's not on. I've worked in many, many places and done many, many things, and the prison program was one of them, and I worked with murderers. They all have a light. It's just dim. It needs to be illuminated, and the more love you throw at somebody, love, 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 then that's what you're going to get back. So how do you, the next one is going to be creating those positive changes, and what we'll do to get you there, what you're going to do to get yourself there, and I'm here to help you in whatever way I can. So if you have any questions, any comments, please leave them below. Do a thumbs up, share with your friends, talk about how you can get over the anger, the resentment, the hating of the person, how you can get more from your boss because they're ignoring you or passing you over, or you can tell they maybe don't know what to do with you. Whatever it is, have conversations about it and see if you can come up with some lists. It's the most beneficial way that I can help you, and is for you to leave me some things that we can work with. You can also do that from my website, and I'm happy to help you. Consultations are free. You need to leave me a message of some kind, phone or email, and I promise I get back with you. So thank you for joining me today. This may be a little longer than you had thought or planned on, and when we do a little guided imagery, then that will not be quite so long. It'll be something you can just stretch out and relax to. So you know that I am here for you. I am here for you. I'm here for you, and I'm so grateful that you're on this life journey with me. Let's make this a better place to live by creating more powerful, wonderful, loving, kind effects. And so I love you this much. Those arms go all the way around you and the world. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourselves, live well, be happy, and do a little homework. It'll be worth it. Love you.